In this section, we look at one of the most popular uses for CSS. That is, controlling the placement of objects on the screen for our different web layouts. In this movie, we look at the options that will be available to us using these different CSS layout techniques. We will be discussing some of the general principles of CSS that are used to create layouts and some general guidelines when it comes to styling our layouts. As has been the focus throughout this course, our focus is on the CSS that goes into a design and not about creating the graphics that would make a CSS-based design really shine. I also want to point out that there are multiple possible solutions for a lot of the different things you need to do in CSS to have a successful layout and design. Of course, you might have already noted that there are a few things that I have decided to do in this course that were fundamentally different than the way that you might have done them, or you might have seen from other tutorials. Now, I do not claim to know the right way to do any of these things, as there are multiple possible solutions, but what I present is just one of those available options. Additionally, as our project is designed to be accessible in a flexible layout, I will be focusing on certain aspects of layout design while ignoring others. Now, if you do desire to use a different layout, then I encourage you to explore all the possibilities of these CSS-based designs and layout methods. One way that you can do this is by visiting other websites. In fact, at this point in time, you would probably benefit from going to some of your favorite websites and checking out the source code and seeing what they're doing with CSS. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and jump over here to our browser. And I already have the CSS Zen Garden pulled up. And to take a look at what CSS they have going on, we need to view the source. So I can right-click and go to View Page Source. And depending on your browser, it may be a little bit different. You may need to go to the View menu or the Edit menu. But View Page Source, and it's going to give me a look at the HTML code behind the scenes. And I look for my Style section, and here it is. And they're doing an import, and they're pulling in this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that location, and then go back into my browser here and append the URL. And whenever I go to that location, it's going to serve up the CSS page, and it's going to tell me all about this. Now, they've done a great job of commenting different sections here, but if you scroll on down, you'll end up seeing things that you have a good idea as to how it works at this point. So if you look at everything and break it down and look at what we've covered so far in this course, you should be able to interpret probably about 75, if not 80% of what's here. Now, because of the way that web technologies work, more or less you are going to get access to this content because your browser has to download it anyway, so you can look behind the scenes of almost all of your favorite websites. So that's definitely a really cool thing you're probably going to want to check out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into our slideshow here. And I want to start talking about our general approaches. Now, we're going to have two general approaches to our layouts. Now, these are going to be layouts that leverage floats. And what this means is our layout is going to be based on the float property. The float property is going to allow us to stack content sections next to each other so that they are going to be beside each other. Now, we'll be discussing much more in depth what these float-based layouts are and how the float property works, but in general, all we're doing is floating our content over to the side of other content. And that's the first type of layout. And with this first type of float-based layout, we will see that we have a number of different available methods for using our floats. We're going to see that we have fixed width floats, liquid floats, elastic floats, and hybrid floats. Now, typically, you're just going to hear these referred to as fixed width layout, liquid layout, elastic layout, and hybrid layout. Now, the second general approach that we have to our layouts will be our layouts that leverage absolute positioning. Now, absolute positioning layouts are going to utilize the position property to precisely position elements on the screen. So where we set them up with the Position property and related properties is exactly where it will show up every single time our users go to view the page. And that concludes this general look at our styles of layout.